Okay, all their little kids do with them. Beautiful family. Love them. The ornaments, Tomas. I don't want to say it wrong. All right, and then we got Ben and Melissa. I always just call it Homestead Mom. Full House Homestead. We're going to be asking a series of questions today. To these, first of all, I'm going to ask them some questions. And then once we get through with this, then I'm going to give each one of you the opportunity, if you have a question that you want to ask them, then we're going to allow you to do that. So there may be, you may not like my opinion on something. You might want to hear Jessica's opinion on something. You know, you may have a totally different way of answering something. And then that's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
We're going to let them kind of give a brief description first. So give them questions.
Yes.
Give them
I just got to find it.
synopsis of what they're doing. And they all have, well, exception perhaps we're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, that was kind of a
So
surprise.
y'all get the surprise questions. Since you surprised me, you get the surprise questions. And
Mike delegates well.
I'm not sure where Home in the Sticks is. When we find him again.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give it to the other farms. Let them take it, and each person knows kind of what they're doing, and y'all take it on by the time we get to the craft. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Miss Christie, I see you're on there.
I'm gonna ask
I
each
can't
one of
see
you
the
to take
live
this
feed right
briefly,
now, but
because this could get to be long. Yeah.
I'm sure you're watching this from other
Okay.
audio, but I'm going to leave this one going for a little bit.
EW Family Farm, I'm Andrea, and this is Ben, and I can't not mention our two teams down here on the first row. We couldn't do all that we do without them. We are on a small homestead in Central Arkansas. Actually, it's not small, that was a big fat lie. I told them that I'm gonna just probably lie if I'm not prepared, but it's really big, actually. Actually, we live on about 700 acres that we share with Ben's brother, who, thank you, Uncle Mike, is taking care of Homestead for us. They ask us some questions like, what's our biggest struggle? Or am I messing this up?
Quick.
Our motto is go big or go home, I think. We just bought a huge herd of beef cows 2 weeks ago. When they all calve, we'll have 180 cows on our farm. So we're crazy. We have all the other animals too: chickens, pigs, goats, sheep, honeybees, gardens. Yes, 21,000 square foot garden. So that's us. We just do everything on a big scale and then just get overwhelmed and cry. So that's us.
And then just hand it to the women.
My name is Jess, this is Maya, and we are from Roots Refuge Farm, where we have an actual small homestead. We're working with 4 acres, about 40 minutes down the road from BW Family Farm in Central Arkansas, where we have, small homestead things. We have a small herd of dairy goats, we have some chickens and some ducks, and we have about a 10,000 square foot garden, and I would say that the majority of the food that we grow comes out of that space. So our biggest struggle is actually to, pacing ourselves has been our biggest struggle in this, because whenever you really get the idea and the realization how important it is to grow your food, it's so easy to want to just jump off the deep end. And so for us, we jumped off the deep end a little bit, kind of like waded our way to the shallow end and are working our way into actually growing a lot of our food.
I'm Tommy. We are from Alder Farms, Tomas, my grandson over there. We live on 116 acres that nobody ever bought. Been in the family for 150 years. Our whole section is awarded a land grant. It's been mostly timber, so we have about 10 acres that is timber.
Yeah, Christy Betts, it's probably 70 degrees right now. You see Jenny Pratt, she's got her shorts on, but coming down from Michigan, it's probably pretty warm for them.
We did have one cow, we retired her, and
Hey, Christy, can you hear the audio? Can you hear Tommy pretty good right now on
It's my
this?
job to not listen. Oh, hey, I'm on time. Yeah, so anyway, our newest venture is we are now growing a 30 by 75 foot high home, which is a venture. It's amazing property.
Okay, let me see what I can do with that. I don't know if I can do anything with that.
Okay, we're back in Homestead. We are from Southern Michigan. We have 10 acres.
I'm gonna
For beautiful
move the
kids.
location to trying to get the audio up for you.
We
This
have
beds.
kindergartens, chickens, ducks, we raise pigs every year, and, horse, dogs, rabbit. And
Okay, I'm gonna get closer to the speaker, so you let me know when I get over there what it sounds like.
we have multiple gardens, I think it kind of a lot of us, our biggest struggle is pacing ourselves. We get
Is that any better?
into everything, and then we don't know what to take care of first, because then it seems like everything needs to be done all at the same time.
Christy, is that any better on the audio?
The breaks, because of the ideas.
I have all these
No.
great ideas, I don't get them implemented, and then I go to work for 40 hours.
Yeah, so 2 years, an example, 2 years ago, he was like, we should buy fruit trees. Okay, let's buy fruit trees, so we bought 11 fruit trees. And then I spent the next 3 days planting 11 fruit trees. So, yeah, that happens, but it's all good. Yeah, we have fun on our 10 acres, doing what we can, and raising the kids.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm House Homesteaders, and we live on 20 acres. We share with my father, and he has a lot more than that. Where we live on. And we have a few cows, not a whole lot of them. And yeah, we have meat, turning into hamburger meat, and we try to stay out of stores and just try to process our own meat. Live out in the garden, of course, like y'all are. Which is fun, because we have so many projects going on, I just can't keep it all straight. Yeah, so, yeah, our biggest.
So Daryl's gonna try and adjust the volume a little bit, and we'll see.
Okay, our biggest, problem to overcome probably be like, he has his way of doing
Goodness,
things.
hope
I have
Melissa
mine.
doesn't go
Trying
in. I
to
know, she said she's doing May,
overcome
so she's got a little bit of
Trying
time
to
left.
coexist,
that. We're a blended family. He has his children, I have my children come together, and now we're a big happy family. And one on his, hers, and ours. Yeah, there you go. So 9 altogether.
How about that,
But
Christy?
8 in the house.
You bumped it up a little bit. You know that?
But he did his grown up on a farm, and then I did my homestead, and then when we came together, it's kind of like, he had his way of doing things, I had my way of doing things, so.
Better,
it's
okay,
been-
good.
That's probably been the only struggle we've had is, can we compromise? Who's right?
I'm a very neat, organized garden planner, and she's like, let's put it on here. The kids are like, I'm like, what are y'all doing? They're just like throwing it around, like, So, yeah, it's fun though. Every day is fun, and I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Okay, I guess we would be next on the list. I have homesteaded, which is a word we learned to call it. I called it life most of my life. I got cut off.
Yeah, Miss Sherry.
Okay.
That's a joke. You have to get her on from
well,
Two
I have
Family.
lived this lifestyle my whole life. I've always had a farm. I've always raised my own food, and I've always raised my own animals to eat, stuff like that. But you know, an LCE happened in my life, and I lost a spouse, and I almost gave it all up and started. I just said, you know, why do this? And I got rid of every animal I owned, and then God was good, and He gave me Wanda. So Wanda and I have built a homestead again. Wanda and I buy nothing from a grocery store that's edible. You know, we get like sugar, maybe some salt, maybe a piece of cheese right now. We typically do not buy anything from a grocery store anymore. And this has become our life. This is why we do what we do, is after I battled cancer for 6 years with a lady and lost her, and a lot of it was food related, I realized just how important living this lifestyle really is. And I think God opened our eyes to that. And I feel kind of small compared to everybody else here. I mean, I used to own 40-something acres, but I sold it all. I didn't believe in being in debt. I paid my house off and stuff like that. And we're down to 10 acres, you know, but it's almost more than what I want right now. And we can raise enough food on it to do what we need to do. And we have 3 goats.
Yeah, we have 3 goats. 2 of them just had babies. We had Shadow and Patches this past week. We have chickens or egg layers. We have meat birds recently, and we have enough meat in the freezer for a long time because that's a long meat on the meat birds. And we've got pigs. We've got yeah, we started in the Dexter. We've got 2 Dexter, a Dexter and a Dexter Jersey Cross. We've got a dog. How many of y'all know who Hank is? Hank?
All right, Hank.
Y'all want Hank? I'm selling raffle in the mall.
Oh, no.
Okay, Hank? I love Ken. I raised my kids homeschooled back in the late 70s, 80s, 90s. I homeschooled. I had 3 home births. I was way out of my league back in the day. Thought I was out of it. I studied to be an herbalist.
Yeah,
all this kind
Hank's
of
a
stuff
soccer player,
back in
that's
the
right.
80s. Thought I was way done with that. Then I met Danny, and I went right back into it. And I loved the lifestyle then, but I was in a really rough marriage. And when I got out all that, I thought I was through, except I kept my herbs. I've always kept my herbs. And when I met Danny, he was right back into the farming life. And it's been a chill life for me. I love it. I love just being able to relax, not being in the hub of working. Danny and I, this is our life. We don't have to go to work. We work on our farm and we're building a cabin. So we're having fun. So let me take this to Danny. This is another Mississippi guy, home in the sticks.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Tell us about.
Oh, this phone right here.
Well,
My name is Dan Recker. I have a 12-acre homestead, not homestead, 12-acre home place in East Central Mississippi. I don't consider myself to be a homesteader. I'm a half-steader of sorts. I am a full-time police officer in the state of Mississippi. So I have a full-time job, and when I get home, I go to work again. I have chickens and horses and goats. Nothing over at my home place gets ate. They all pets. But my chickens lay eggs for me. I have several raised bed gardens that provide food. I just got a mindset that I wasn't going to buy any vegetables from the store. I was going to grow my own stuff. So that's a little bit about me. Ma'am, which one? Oh, don't let nobody tell you, son. I ain't nobody.
that's right, Christy. He said it. Oh, you're all right. I'll sneak around. That's why.
Okay, we're going to do a Q&A now. I'm going to let Ms. Wanda bring the microphone down there. And if any one of you have a question that you're interested in asking anybody on this panel, how you doing? They can hear them up here, down there. Then when you're up, your voice carries. We'll ask questions. Does anyone have a question that you want to ask any particular person on the panel that you would like to hear their answer for? Come on, man. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. We're not going to bite you.
But I was trying to get in and get
I saw you and you was busy.
Okay.
I'll be out and about.
Okay, up here on the front row, baby. Yeah, Vanna White thing. No.
This is not for anybody in particular, but anybody that wants to address it. For those of you that were raised just a little bit about what made you refuse, you know, what got you to the point where you said, I want to do this.
Okay?
So we.
Somebody on the panel who didn't grow up homesteading,
We
made
had
the
a
transition.
We had a question on the thing that this is what we did with the teaser. I asked each one of them what got them into homesteading. So maybe we'll let you guys hear a little bit. We'll start with what got them into it or what brought them to that transition.
Good question.
I was raised in Memphis, and it's married. I had family in Mississippi that I would visit every summer, and that's where I learned how to shell peas, but how to grow tomatoes, how to fry green tomatoes, how to make cornbread. Once I had started having children, I realized there's no way I would raise my kids in Memphis, and the slower paced lifestyle. And then once, of course, I started getting into what was in our food, and my kids had allergies and reactions to vaccinations. And once your family gets sick, once you lose your health, it all changes. What he said, his wife died of cancer. So you realize, okay, it's either do or die. So that's what got me into it, was my kids getting sick.
I've always been, I'm from that tall. I was milking cows, we milked 400 cows in Rope Rock at that time, and done always. So, yeah, I was always loved it.
I was born in Alaska, and a lot of outdoor stuff.
Try to zoom in and see.
No real homesteading anything. Jenny was born in country living.
It might be a little blurry on kind of the fluorescent light bulbs that we got shining down.
She and I have always talked about doing a little bit of prepping when we first met, start building up some food stores and stuff, and it didn't really go anywhere. Then I talked to a friend that worked with chickens. I came home with Jenny ordering some chickens. And the chickens came, and we still lived in a city that did not allow chickens. And we started house hunting, and we were kind of looking just for country living, I think. We weren't really looking, I mean, the chicken and the eggs was kind of cool, but, and then, we went and looked at the first place we looked at had a barn. Well, then we need a barn.
Tell me when to stop.
Well, I was born and raised in Baker, Louisiana, in the subdivision, and my dad.
I can zoom it out, but I don't know. You want me to? I can go out a little bit.
Where I got that from. And,
Better? Okay, I'll just leave it.
Tommy just didn't know what was waiting later on in marriage, I think. What was down the road, and when we married, we lived in a subdivision, moved to 3 acres, and then that was when we got chickens, and Tommy calls chickens the gateway. So anyway, so then we started with chickens also, and then moved to dairy goats, and then we moved to Mississippi, and now we can have whatever we want. We have more chickens, right, baby?
Whatever you say, dear. I know how this works. Yeah, my mom and dad moved to Baker, Louisiana shortly after World War II. My dad went to work at Exxon. Well, they were Depression era kids, and so they worked their fingers to the bone in Mississippi when they were young. And I love to tell a story that in our little subdivision, 2 houses down, Mr. Gene always had a little bitty garden in his backyard, always. And I don't remember how old I was. I think I was in a teen when I one day asked Dad, how come y'all never plant a little garden or something? My dad was reading the newspaper, and he folded that paper down, looked at me, and he said, I planted the last thing I'm ever going to plant. He said, that's what grocery stores are for, So, I mean, my mama grew azaleas, but they never planted anything. So I had no upbringing. So if it hadn't been for Patty, I'd probably still be living in a subdivision somewhere. Thank you, dear.
Hey, no, it's all right. Glad to see you in here.
I grew up in a subdivision.
I've been working
in Central Arkansas. My parents grew up in subdivisions. This was not
on the
something
video
that I was
with
raised
Miss
around
Christie,
at all. But I was like an animal obsessed little kid. I was like the kid who, if a baby squirrel fell out of a tree, I was the one people brought it to bottle feed it until it was grown. I was like little Snow White as a child. I loved animals. And so naturally I wanted to have all of them. I was just non-discriminatory. Any animal that there was, I wanted it. And Maya and I
met, he fell madly in love with country, working a garden, working chickens, working all of that, and said he never wanted it again. But then whenever, I had this big dream and these googly eyes for him, and he said, baby, anything you want, we'll have a farm if you want a farm. So 5 years later, we bought our house in the country, and he's learned to love it again, I think.
Uh-oh. The rebuttal.
That's exactly how it happened.
Where's your mom at, son?
Outside.
Okay.
I did not see myself going back to that lifestyle because, my parents, my mom was a gardener. She planted an acre garden and then had to work a job, which means that I actually had to work the garden. And that just produced a lot of bitterness. So it's like, I don't even like this stuff. Like, I don't even like tomatoes. Like, I don't want to eat any of this. Like, why am I doing this? And it's like we put all this money into it, and then we had 5 acres that we didn't have anything to cut. So then my brothers, because we had a ton of them, I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters, we had to cut 5 acres in cycles with a push mower to keep the grass down. So I had, the struggle was real. I was not interested in going back to any of that. So to get back into it, that just tells you how awesome Jesse is.
Well, for me, I've grown up doing this. My mom, she didn't really like to garden or farm, but my grandpa was my mentor, and he raised cattle, gardened, and animals. So for me, this is normal. But you're fixing to hear the story that's not normal for anybody.
I actually did not grow up doing any of this. I grew up on a golf course. I was actually a state champion golfer, and then stepped away from all of that. And I had the dream, even though Ben grew up in the country, it was my dream, and he has a full-time job. And so a lot of times it's me and the kids doing it, but we love it. I wouldn't change a thing. I would not go back to town now for anything. And my parents actually told me when we were talking about getting married, and they were like, we worked our whole life, because my parents were older, they grew up on farms, just because if you wanted to eat, you better grow a garden. And it wasn't called homesteading, it was just like, if you want to eat, you better work. And they were like, we worked to get off the farm, and you're choosing to go back to it. But now they're at our house all the time. They're our biggest helpers. I think they've rediscovered their love for it. And honestly, since we've started this life, I said this on a video a while back, that it wouldn't matter if we lost it all, moved back to town. Would still be my dream. It's like I found the real me, the farming, homesteading, country. It's like once I stepped outside the box and quit trying to be what everybody expected me to be as a mom and all that, and just be myself and be different and pull my kids out of school, because that's what I felt called to do. It's like, this is the real me, and I have so much joy and peace about this life that I couldn't go back. Even if we lost the farm, I'd still be this version of me, because it's like I found myself.
Old Dan grew up in the city, in New Orleans, Louisiana. And my grandparents and my father were big gardeners. We had 12-foot gardening, some raised beds and stuff like that. But as I got older, I got shipped off to New Iberia, Louisiana. Well, I have a bunch of family from New Iberia, and I did a lot of gardening there. And after Katrina, that's when I came up with Mississippi. My mother's been in Mississippi for the last 35 years. So after Katrina, I bought my little 12-acre plot, and I just did what I did when I was young, just on a bigger scale. So, and I'm like the rest of these folks, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
We wouldn't trade it for anything.
No, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I mean, guys, to me, it is God's plan for man. Because in the Bible, it plainly teaches if you don't work, you're not supposed to eat. And I used to take that as not going to a public job, but when I went and studied Hebrew and started studying the actual meaning of a lot of things in Scripture, I come to the realization the Bible's written to the Middle East. It's not written to Western society. And as Americans, we get this mentality in our head to think that the Bible was wrote to us. and it's not written in a Western way, and we try to interpret it in a Western way, and it makes it extremely difficult to actually find the true meanings in God's Word.
Yes,
But when
it is.
you look at it from an Eastern mentality, and date it back to that time period, and study that time period in history and what was going on during that time period in history, you'll realize that agriculture was a big part of life. We have the feast days. For those of you who are familiar with the feast days, if we have Sabbath worshipers here, then you would realize that growing food played a huge part in like the barley harvest and all that kind of stuff, and everything was on time schedule with God based off the moon and all this kind of stuff. I plant by the moon myself. I believe that God expects us to do that. Now, I'm not trying to say that if you don't plant by the moon, you're not going to grow anything, but I do believe that if you follow the phases of the moon and you actually plant accordingly, that things will actually go better for you, because it's just part of the plan. And people always, I've been told this many times, they said, well, I don't believe in the zodiac, because the zodiac's evil. Well, Satan can take anything good and make it bad. And if you know anything about the old Jewish temples, all of them had the zodiac in the floor of them, because it was there for the planting seasons, for them to understand and to know when to do stuff. And you had the criers who cried out.
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
first sliver of the new moon. That would tell them
I'm gonna
when
break out my sun oven and do some dehydrating
stuff like this.
this
When you start
summer. So
understanding those things, you understand how important growing your own food is in the Bible. Psalm 128 is a great psalm. If you ever want to memorize a psalm, that's probably one of the best psalms you'll ever memorize. And it talks about you will eat what you have planted. Your wife will be fruitful. Your kids will be like a vine planted in the innermost parts of the house. And it just goes on to explain all about gardening, how it affects your family, and how it affects your everyday life, and how fruitful you will become if you do these things. And it's really, really amazing that there's a movement in this country, and God chose to give it a name called Homesteading. It's getting people back to doing what He originally planned to do in the beginning with mankind. Wanda and I do it because we started doing it. Let me put it this way. We started doing it because we had to do it. Wanda and I did not have an income for many, many years. We sit at home lots of times. Wanda would freak out and see, well, how are we going to pay the power bill? I told her, I said, I don't know, but God's good. And this was her, and she may kill me for this.
No, it was the toilet paper.
It was a toilet paper issue with her. She goes, Danny, how are we going to afford toilet paper?
And God provided. There was a lady, she watched one of our first 15, 20 videos.
Yes.
Within the first few months, she sent me some family cloths, and she said, I don't want to offend you, but have you ever thought of this? And I really hadn't, but I thought, well, do I take and put washcloths up for that specific purpose just in case? And when she sent the family cloths, I was hooked. So if you've never tried them, I got videos. But Danny knows I do not spaz over toilet paper anymore.
No, she doesn't spaz
that
over
went away
toilet paper
with the family
anymore.
cloths.
And the crazy thing about it was we had so many people criticize us. They go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you do that. And I told myself, well, how many of you here raised babies with real diapers? Okay, then you know what a 5-gallon bucket is with water and splashing something in the toilet, putting it in a bucket, and you wash them right there. And, it's no different. We've been raised into a society of people who think that life itself, and real life and true life, is dirty. And it's nasty. And disposable. We live in what do you call it, a microwave society that looks for instant gratification. Everybody wants what grandma and grandpa had. They want it now. And they use credit card, bank loans, and stuff like that to try to get it, and hiring people to do it rather than going out and having their own sweat. That's why it's so easy today for people to get rid of their homestead, is because they didn't put the sweat and toil into it that grandma and grandpa did. So I don't take up any time. Does anybody else have another question while we?
Daniel.
That's my mama here.
Okay.
I've got a question. Each one of you have children and grandchildren. My question is what y'all's thoughts on passing down the knowledge that you have or have received through the next generations.
Y'all hear that? We love giving out knowledge, and we love people coming to our house and enjoying things, and anybody that feels led, we always try to help them, and that's gonna be one of my things, is doing more private things on the internet for people that wanna learn to can and different things like that. And so that's gonna be one of my thoughts, and the doTERRA, if anybody's interested, the private things. We'll go private, so it's not on a, everybody here's your own business. And I'm willing to help teach you how to can. So many have said, and I've got one here somewhere, she said she just wants to know how to can. She got the canner. I've come across, everybody has a canner. Nobody wants to use it, they're scared of it. So I did a canning class this year, and we had a blast with it, and I'm gonna be doing some online for those that I can't bring to my house.
I think I'm a different type of mother. I don't want my kids to say they don't want to or can't. So when it's time to garden, everybody's out there, barefooted. I don't care if you have a shower, I don't care what the excuse is. We don't allow our children not to participate. And before my oldest daughter graduated, married, and moved away, I required that she knew how to sew, how to make soap, how to cook, how to make bread. I mean, I had like you have the state standards of what children should be learning, and then you have my standards. Yeah, and I don't want, whether you like it or not, we really don't care, do we?
Yeah, we have no TV. I mean, we do have a TV for like a movie night or something once a week or something like that, but other than that, we don't have satellite, we have none of that stuff, because that's just infectious to your child's brain, and that don't need to be shown in any way. So get them away from all that, and get them outside working, and they'll have a big time.
You got something to say? I guess we don't really push it on the kids a whole lot, but they are, I mean, they have their going out to the garden, weeding requirements, but if they're not comfortable butchering a chicken, we don't force them to be there. We do have the set rules to help out with the family and stuff, but if they, I mean, we don't require them to do barn chores, but we do, I don't set barn chores, but we do expect them that, hey, we help them, you go do barn chores, we expect them to go do it that night. And then on the flip side of that, most of them are learned anyways, and prime example right now, this last couple of weeks, Faith has been wanting to get more help with fermenting and sourdough, and she's just been wanting to really get involved, and all the kids like the gardening and stuff, so they're there with us doing it. If we want them to help us clean out, do a big barn clean out, if we tell them to come help us, they're required to come help us. But they're kind of on board with it all on their own, I would think.
They are. Like what you said, if there's something that they're showing interest in, then we do encourage. Andrew recently wanted to learn how to sew, so I set him up with a sewing machine, and he made himself a bag. So we do, as long as they're showing that interest, we do help try to encourage it and keep them going with it. At this point, they all three of the older ones can cook, they can make bread, they can sew, teachers learn how to crochet. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they've already learned how to do that I taught myself how to sew like 4 years ago. So they're learning at a much faster pace than what I had even learned growing up. So we do encourage it, but yeah, we want them to do something they're doing.
One other example would be Andrew has been itching to plant some seeds, so he brought home some shamrock seeds from school. And right before we left, they sprouted, and he was extremely worried about them. So that pot of soil and shamrock seeds, sprouts, are in our van. They came with us, so he could care for them.
Standing room only today. I know I got it zoomed in too far, but see if I can get down here. I'll show you a little bit more. It's a big crowd. Bigger than last year. They just zoom out here. There we go. So I'll show you guys the group that came.
And the boys would much rather be outside.
There's Mr. Darrell set up with all his computers.
Chelsea, my oldest daughter, to
There we go. I'll do this one more time. And this isn't everybody. This is just who's in here right now. And they've got it down at the arena.
The fact that when Tomas talks about the farm and things on the farm, he uses possessive terms. You know, our chickens, our goats, you know, just when he's talking even to other kids and stuff. So that's really neat. And yeah, we let him have sugar and all that things. Especially if he's about to go home.
We're raising 6 kids in the farm life setting, and so obviously passing on that knowledge is really important to us. And the way that we've handled that is just like in anything in parenting, we're really looking for inclinations, and like music is important to us. We want our kids to be musical, and so we give them options as far as instruments, and when they really take to one, that's where we try to develop it. And so with my kids, like some of them are a lot more inclined towards the garden. And those are the ones that I take out there and do a lot of one-on-one time. My baby he loves the garden, and he will live in the garden, he'll eat from it. And the other ones, I ask for their help, and they'll come help me with stuff. But whenever I really see the inclination, I really start to try to develop that. Now, the main thing across the board that just applies to our household in general is we really want to establish what's normal. Because I'm really kind of fall into that millennial generation, I'm 33, and so many of my peers, very sadly, you know, they come visit my garden for the first time, and I've literally had people that are intelligent, educated, bright peers of mine that go, wow, I didn't know tomato plants grew flowers. And they wouldn't know that because they had just never seen it. And the only time that they've ever come across a tomatoes in a grocery store, and so they would have never seen the flower. And so what I want to really teach is that this is what's normal, and what's happening in the grocery store is actually not normal. And what's happening in big agriculture is actually not normal. That's not the healthy way to do it. Because I think that way, if my children decide not to be homesteaders, if they decide to go follow any other career path, what I really hope is that no matter where their life takes them and where God takes them, that there'll always be a garden in their backyard, because that will be normal to them.
I support that decision, and we made it together because on my side of things, I was forced into it. Like, you know, you don't have a choice. And it wasn't so much that I had to go out and do something, it was that I was kind of just left to figure it out with no guidance. Does that make sense? It's not that I had to go do the work, it's that there was no one there saying, well, this is why, and you know, kind of like this. It was just kind of like, figure it out. And that just brought stress and anxiety and bitterness and all that. So we do require them to come out and do certain things, like certain projects, like when the dogs get into some feed bags and strew them all over the backyard. I'm not the one who's picking them up. I've got other things that I need to do that require my time, and picking up trash isn't one of them. I've got 5 boys, and they're great at picking up trash at this point. And that's just one of the understood jobs. Like, you know, I picked up a ton of trash when I was a kid. You're going to pick up a ton of trash when you're a kid. It's just part of being on a farm. I don't know what it is about homesteads that, like, it's a magnet for trash. I mean, I just got trash showing up, and I'm like, I didn't even eat that. I don't even like what that is. How did it even get here? And I'm like picking it up. I'm just like, trash just shows up. Like random chickens. I don't even know. But one thing that I would like to add is kind of a different take on this is, you know, I lost my mom this past year very quickly, very unexpectedly, and we thought we had more time. She was our biggest supporter. She was the financer and payer of our tractor. Like, that's the only way we could even afford that. Our kids for however we needed to feed them, like finances, time. She was huge for us. So that really took a hit for us. You know, I know it's my mom, but I mean, like, as our normal promises that I feel like God told us. You know, one of the main reasons we actually started YouTube was because God told us to. That's really what we felt. And so we just did it, you know, didn't do it right the first 2 times. It's like we start, we walk away from it, start, walk away from it. But finally we did it, and really did it like unto God, as if it was worship, like it's what he asked us to do, and we, you know, he just blesses it. That kind of, all that happening this past year has shifted my mind into more of a legacy mindset. So I've got these promises. I want to have cattle. You know, this is Ben Vinson. He's who I call him my farm dad, because he has 700 acres and 180 head of cattle, and I'm like, one day I'm going to be like my dad. I have 4 acres raising a few animals, and I'm like, I'm in grade school. I'm saying, like, he's got an established career. I want to get there. Huh? Yeah, and I'm his YouTube daddy. So whenever he has YouTube questions, I'm like, oh no, you just got to click this day. He's like, oh, thanks. So I'm just giving him a hard time. Anyways, there's things I want to do bigger. I want to do more, like the pacing yourself. One of the reasons we got into trouble with that is because, like, I want all the stuff. Jessica wants all the animals. I want to be doing everything, and I want to be doing it all well. I want to have 50 beehives and everything. I want it to be done to excellence because God enjoys excellence. When the garden was finished, He said, "It is finished." It was at excellence. Does that make sense? Like, there wasn't like one finished. He's like, "Don't look over there." Everything else, everything was done. And that's how I really want my place to be. It just takes time and work. And I was just rushing and stressed. Gotta get it done. There's so much to do. And you just feel all this pressure to get all this stuff done. And when all this happened and everything just kind of froze and everything kind of just slowed down, I was like, I need to shift my mindset to more of a legacy thing. Maybe the fulfillment of our promises are not going to come from us. Maybe they come when we teach our kids, and then they carry it on and teach their kids, and and it's a legacy thing, like an Abraham, Isaac, Israel generation, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's more to it than just what you can accomplish. When my mom passed and everything that's going on, like, I don't know what happened in between the two generations, but, inheritances are not a common thing these days. A lot of times people are leaving their kids with debts or, unfinished things. And, back, years ago, that wasn't the case. There was inheritance. My grandmother got a massive inheritance from her dad from their land in Newfoundland. That was normal. You would pass something down. Biblically, inheritance is huge. I mean, our inheritance is eternity with Christ. Like, inheritance, obviously God put emphasis on people in our generation, especially the legacy for inheritance for their kids. Leave them something of value, not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess I'm just rambling, I feel like now, but all right, Ben, let's see what you got.
He did a great job.
I'll make mine short and sweet. She asked how to get your kids to work. I think the easiest way I've made mine is make it theirs and make it money. I mean, they've grown up doing this pretty much their whole life, but I've tried to teach them responsibility and the respect of money that you're going to have it to live with. So the more they grow in that, they're learning responsibility of managing their animals, managing their money, and responsibility of getting everything done. So that's my answer. Short and sweet.
And our kids actually made a video because they make their own money, and they've been doing it for probably 5 years, but they did it through 4-H. They get free chicks each year, and we would pay and feed them all spring and summer, and then it'd come time in fall when they'd start laying and they'd want to sell the eggs. And finally we were like, no. We fed these chicks all year. You can't sell the eggs. So we told them, you want to sell the eggs, you got to feed the chicks. All that time they're not laying, you got to put money into something to get money back. And so they've made a good little amount of money. Lane is actually almost 16. He has enough now to buy him a older used truck. So that's taught them a lot. But actually, Jeremiah was sharing some of that with us last night, and that got me to thinking about legacy and leaving like multi-generations. And so more than just the kids, I was thinking about, Ben's mentioned his grandpa, but we would not be where we are today without that man. He was a forward thinker. He lived very frugally. You would not
Christy, we're
know he
having
had
an
a
overcast
dime
out
to
there
his
right
name.
now, so.
He drove these old beat-up vehicles and lived very frugally, but when land would come up for sale, he would buy all the land he could for like $100 an acre until he amassed this farm that he then left to his daughter, which is my mother-in-law, and then we share it. Ben and his brother share it. But one thing he said in his will was, you cannot marry and put it in both names so that it will leave the family. It's to stay in the family. It's not to be sold. It's just, he wanted it for his future generations. And I don't resent that. I respect that. Like, I want it to stay in our family to pass down to our kids and our nephews. And I really think that's a lot of why are the hard workers that they are, because like you said, people give up their homesteads so easy, but those who don't, and it stays for generations, just like I was listening about y'all's land from way back, there's something about it, it's special. Someone's blood, sweat, and tears went into that, and so they're willing to work for it because it's going to be theirs. So I really think that's a lot of the success of getting your kids to work hard. Make it theirs too, not just yours, that they're going to grow up and make it the families.
My two daughters are grown and out of the house, and I have a different spin on all this as far as passing or sharing information. And it's all about sharing information for me. And I'll give you an example. My neighbor across the street from me, or down the road from me, I go back and forth with him all the time on Purple Hull peas. And he said, "Dan, don't you know you can't plant Purple Hull peas in a raised bed? Gotta be in the ground." I said, "Well, I tell you what, come on over by the house one day and let me show you." And sure enough, he come to the house and he was like, "Yeah, you can grow Purple Hull peas in a raised bed." I said, "Well, heck yeah, you can." So that's information that I'm sharing with somebody else, and next thing you know, he's got some raised beds. He ain't growing Purple Hull peas in a raised bed, but he's got some raised beds, and he's growing out of raised beds instead of the ground. So I have, my spin is just a little bit different than all these other folks. But yes, sharing of information.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything else here? Okay, Patty.
I just wanted to add that, I forgot to say this when we were talking a while ago. Our youngest son, Corey, which is 21, is actually at home taking care of the farm for us right now. So, we learned something.
And he's getting married in May, and he's married a girl who loves baby goats and all that kind of stuff.
More farm help. They're going to live on the farm with us too.
And we're all invited.
Okay. We have a lady with her arm up over here. Yeah. Well, she might be able to. Oh, I don't know.
Okay. I grew up gardening in cities and in suburbs with my mom and my dad. And when I was really little with my dad, we had chickens and ducks and rabbits and stuff like that. What we never had that I have now in Texas.
Yeah, they are. Tomas, he's up there with them.
And I don't want to use chemicals because I'm growing food there. And I know that ants do some good, but not as many as I have. And behind my property is a big field and a swamp. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but
Noah's Ark, this place is full of kids right now.
Well,
They're all behaved, every last one of them.
Fire ants.
And there is no help.
They're
Burn them.
You can put neem oil on the heels, and so they just move 3 feet and come back. Okay. Well, let's just say if you put neem oil on the heel of ants, they will actually move away a distance. She doesn't know the exact distance, but if you got a raised bed, they would leave the raised bed if you put neem oil in there. Just don't put it right on the plant. No, that doesn't work. I can hear you.
They're saying baker's yeast too. Daniel, they're saying baker's yeast.
Baker's yeast?
Around the
That's
ground.
right. Give me a little look. Get to it.
We found nothing but fire.
I haven't found anything where I think they're from hell. Yes, I've done the
Yeah,
boiling
Noah's Ark,
water,
there's
but
probably
only-
30 or 40 kids in here right now. They're all behaving.
Yeah, their network underground is, and people from up north really don't understand this. I know Mike and Jenny was at the house yesterday, and I was having to show them what fire ants are. They have such a network underground, they can go up to 16 feet deep. So even a lot of times, you know, you can pour boiling water on it and get rid of the mound on the top, but they'll just move over 3 feet and come right back up if you're not careful. And it's really frustrating. They came over here on a shipment of stuff from another country back in the, was it the 30s or something? They came over here, and I think they're as far north now as they're starting to get into Tennessee and moving even north of that. I know they're way out west. I know that because I've been out there and seen them. But yeah, yeah, skunks do dig in the ant beds. I do know that, but skunks. But I'm not sure you really want that.
Okay, so we have a question over here.
Okay.
Hey, we're new to YouTube. We're Gosney. I'm a mom of 7. We started YouTube.
Social Mississippi.
Yeah, Social Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yes.
I recognize.
Yes, sir. We started back in February after our oldest passed away from an asthma attack because this is what she wanted, and we felt God led us to doing this. And
it's all right, sweetheart.
yes, sir. And my husband, he works pretty much like you know, late afternoon.
Yeah.
12 to 10 o'clock at night. And my question is, I'm doing it all too. I'm the one cutting up the siding on our mobile home that it got moved up. I'm the one cutting the fields. And my question is how, we have 6 acres. How do you plan out what you need to do? And how, for mothers, I'm homeschooling now too. How do you do it all? Because sometimes it gets to me, sometimes I can do it, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't do this.
Probably baby steps. I mean, if I had to, if I had to say,
take
don't
it
overwhelm
slowly.
yourself.
Amen to
Yeah,
that.
just
It is a lot of work.
Slow,
So
easy,
I always
pace
encourage
yourself.
people to like Tommy. I think it's Tommy that made it. The chickens are the doorway. You know,
Few chickens, a little rabbit.
few chickens or something like that. So don't overburden yourself, because that's what we've learned from most people who do things. Is they overburden themselves up front, and then they have a burnout.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
my
when you
family's
have a
got
burnout, you keep asking yourself questions.
got a lot of land up in Kentucky when I was younger. We used to bale the hay and throw it up on, stack it up on the wagon. That's a lot of work. You're right about that, Noah's Ark.
Yeah. And I'd start off with a few raised beds, if that's what you have, or if you just have a small garden spot that you can handle by hand, then that's fine. Do what you can do, but pick stuff that you're going to eat. Don't plant something that you think is just pretty or you think you might like. If you like tomatoes, then plant tomatoes. You know, if you like green beans, then plant green beans. Yeah, well, that's probably smart. We lost a lot of ours.
I also want to say that don't feel guilty if you don't get something done.
Yes.
And take time to take that break, because you don't want to run yourself in the wrong either, because then it's just going to build up even more. So if there's a day that you're like, I just can't, then don't. Just take that day for yourself to focus on yourself, you know, maybe get a load of laundry done or something like that, but don't worry about everything, because it's still going to be there. So just take that day for yourself, take that break, and then regroup and move on.
Let me say this right quick. Patty had to step out. There's no way for my wife to do what she does. It is physically impossible. I've asked statisticians and mathematicians from Harvard University to explain to me how my wife gets done what she's done, and they all just go, eh? But it just happens.
I'm a mama too with lots of babies and a farm and a YouTube channel and mama as well also too, not up to 2 times 3. But I'm in a similar boat, and it's really easy to create expectations for yourself and then take on the identity as a failure whenever you don't meet those expectations. And so if you decide that you want to do lots of things or great things or big things, I'm going to be the first one to tell you that you can do it. We're capable of so much more than we realize, and there are a jillion distractions every single day that could take your time away. And there's so many times that I'm like, I want to do more, and I'm like, okay, well, I've got to cut something away that's useless and focus on this, priorities, all of that stuff. But I just want to encourage you to find your way of doing those things. A lot of people say, how do you do all of it? And I've had success in YouTube. I love YouTube. I love sharing on YouTube. I think it's important. I think God's using it. I can't edit a video to save my life. I watch people who do these awesome, cool things, and sometimes I feel like, man, I stink. I can't do that. I'm no good at it. If I was trying to do that, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. I take 45 minutes in iMovie and throw it all together, and I don't get perfectionist about it. Don't be so critical on yourself. I'm not the homeschool mom that a lot of moms are. I don't go to co-op and I don't go do all of those things, but I had to find what homeschool mom am I going to be? And what mom am I going to be? What wife am I going to be? And my kids are the most important, my husband's the most important, and God's the most important. It's that order all the way up to the top. And then everything else that comes in underneath God, husband, kids.
Hello?
I place it in there, and then I do it to the best of my ability, and at the end of the day, when that identity of failure starts trying to come on, I'm like, no, that's not who I am. I'm a child of God, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and then I'm doing all of these things to the best of my ability, and I have to trust God that that's going to be enough.
Amen.
It's a hot mic.
You'll be short. You know, our advice, like we talked about it, if we could get started in something again, like when we were going to start over, we would not start with animals. I think we would start to focus on the garden. You'll get the most reward, you'll get the most food, for the amount of work you put in, it'll keep you motivated because you're like, oh wow, I planted this tomato seed and I've got tomatoes. Like, you know, you started chickens, chicken math is real, you'll end up with goats, horses, and a cow that you don't want to take care of, so wait on the chickens just a little bit, take a breath. My personal advice is never do rabbits, that's just my personal advice. It was a horrible experience for me. I'm starved. They're cute for pets, and they probably taste pretty good. Other than that, I don't have anything good to say. So my advice is start with the garden. Start growing food, start producing something, get your confidence that you can do it up. And then, you know, start introducing the other things that you want to introduce and learn. One at a time. Okay, so you need a partner.
Probably
okay,
buffering this bit, I'm guessing.
It's like, I want to get alpacas, and I said, no, you can't get alpacas. I want to get more goats, and I'm like, no, we're not going to get more goats. I'm going to bring home a turkey. I'm like, that turkey's going to live with someone else. It's a partnership. We balance each other out. Bring home everything, says no. I'm okay being the bad guy.
Finally, now I just wanted to respond to you because that breaks my heart, and you are in my thoughts and prayers about losing a child. That's life changing, and give yourself grace because I cannot imagine that. So first off, give yourself grace to just live. The way I get this a lot, like, how do you get everything done? And the truth is, I don't. There's days that I end the day crying, and I'm like, I couldn't do it all. There's days I call him 25 times at work about, like, a cow's out, the pigs are running down the road, whatever, and he's like, honey, I have to go. I have to work. So, we don't have it all figured out. None of us up here have it all figured out. So, things are going to go wrong. You're going to get animals that you're like, why in the world did we get these? We got to scale back. That's where we are. And I'm a list maker, so I make a list. And then the top things that have to be done, that's what I'm doing. I want to do them all. I will work myself into the ground till like midnight, like out there, like scooping chicken poop or something. He's like, you are crazy, please go to bed. But that's me, and I have to know when to stop. And so that's what I tell him. Don't put it on the list, because I have to do it if it's on the list, and then I have to cross it off. So,
she puts it on the list just across.
It's really satisfying. So if you didn't do everything on the list, think of some more things and write them down and just X them out. And it's really good. But another thing, this is just where we are right now. We ended a couple days this week, like almost in tears, like, what in the world have we done? We have 180 cows. But don't do things, like someone said, don't plant things you don't like to eat. I'm there, like, I'm an overachiever, so if we're not gonna eat 16 gallons of sauerkraut, don't make 16 gallons of sauerkraut. My family, I'm just gonna say this, y'all may boo me when I say this, but they hate kombucha. So why am I making 25 gallons of kombucha? Like, I need to make a couple quarts for me and let the rest go. Like, don't waste time making things we don't like or we're not gonna use. So.
I do like water people though.
All right, guys, we gonna, Dan won't go.
Ma'am, I will tell you this, I have 12 acres that I maintain by myself, as far as animals, gardening, and everything else that comes with having a home place, a homestead. I am goal-oriented. I can have 50 things that I need to do that day, but guess what? If I just need to work on 2, all I'm gonna work on is 2. And I'm calling it done at the end of the day. It's all about goals. I'm goal-oriented.
Yeah, it's all about goals. I agree with you. Okay, time to move forward. We are fixing to do some. I want to thank each one of you on the panel up here, though. Yes, thank each one of you. Thank you for being patient.
We want to thank you guys, and if you guys want to mingle with them after a while while we're eating lunch and all afternoon while they're here, ask more questions, feel free to. We're also going to break for lunch. The vendors, the seat swap is all down on the other end in the arena. The food is in the concession stand. Stop by, buy you something there to eat. We're going to let Daniel possibly get him something to eat, possibly, and play some music for us down there. We'll probably congregate in the arena for a while and just have fun. And Jessica will be back up maybe 1 to 1:30. I don't know what time we're at now because we're running really late. We're doing some of the giveaways and stuff over the next hour or so. And we'll do the raffles, I think, after Jessica and Jeremiah. The raffles will be done then.
Okay, I need a name for number 37. Oh!
Come on, Lou!
Come on here, Lou. You won last year. You won a basket, I believe, if I remember correctly. Oh, wow. I have a memory. I can remember something. All right. I don't know why I'm sitting off over here. Number 20. I need a name for number 20. Who? Georgia Garden Girl. Okay. Number 23.
You're skipping all around me, Danny. Come on.
Papa Truck.
Oh, that is me.
Back there, bro.
All right. I just said you skipped me.
Yeah. You can listen to that while you're on the road. 42. Lou?
So I got my number wrong. I
Lou
thought it was
back.
22. That's why I was like, he's jumping around me.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good, I couldn't remember that.
It's I guess it's
36.
Daniel's album over here.
David and Jody Adams. Right there, at the end of the road. Now, give that to my brother. Get yourself some Homestead seeds.